Well, welcome back to our garden feature. This is the third segment, and you've already seen how we build these raised beds, and today we're going to show you how we plant in these beds that we have constructed. The first thing you want to have is your soil prepared in a way that is loose and friable. You'll not have this condition your first try. It'll take sometimes years to build it up to this condition, but I cheated a little bit by putting in some Pro Mix. The next thing, after we have our soil in the beds, we want to fertilize the beds. And I'm going to use a fertilizer that I use, show you how I use it. And all I do is take it and I sprinkle it upon the surface of the bed. And then I take my little tool, this is one of my favorite tools, and all I do is just work it in a little bit. I'm going to plant some onion sets. I'm going to take these onion sets and I'm going to plant them about 3 inches apart. These onion sets normally would be planted about 6 inches apart, but I do everything intensively, and so I plant things closer than they call for in the gardening books. And these onion sets will, in not too long a time, start to develop nice heads on them that we will be able to start pulling for early spring onions, leaving them in. They will then go on to develop, they'll develop onions about, about this size by the time they are completed. You know when onions are ready for harvesting when the tops turn brown and turn over. Now we're going to put some more fertilizer on the ground. And I've gone to the local garden shop and I've purchased some lettuce. This is Butter Crunch lettuce, one of my favorite lettuces. We're kind of cheating a little bit here because what we're doing, we're starting with plants rather than starting with seed. And so these give you a real head start. They're in these 9 packs. You can see the roots are already well established. We're going to plant these about 6 inches apart, and we're going to be able to harvest these in just a matter of weeks. We'll be harvesting fresh lettuce right out of the garden. Okay, we've got our lettuce in, and as you can see there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of them, and they'll provide some wonderful tasty salads. This next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in some cabbage. Now cabbage requires more spacing, in fact about 15 inches apart. And so once again we're going to put on some fertilizer. Going to work it in the soil a little bit. And then we're going to take these and we'll plant them. Now these, as I said, take about 15-inch spacing, so I can only get about 3 across in this row. But you can see how easy it is when your soil is nice and friable and easy to work. You don't even need tools. You just stick them in and set them in. Now, the next thing we want to do with these is water them in well so that the roots bond well with the surrounding soil. And these cabbages we'll probably be able to pick in about maybe 60 to 70 days. We'll be having fresh cabbage. Okay, now we're going to show you how we plant some seed in these raised beds. As always, we are going to put on some fertilizer. We're going to scratch it in. And now we're going to make a trough just by pressing the soil both ways. Now we're going to take some beet seed and I'm going to sprinkle a few out in my hand. We're going to place these in that trough about 2 or 3 inches apart. They don't have to be exact spacing. And if an extra one falls in there, that's no problem. Now, after the seed has been placed in the trough, this is called vermiculite. And I just put about a 1/2 inch of vermiculite over the seed, and then I press it in, then I water it well, and it's important to keep the water, keep the soil quite moist until the seeds germinate. Then I'm going to take a labeler and I'm going to write on the label what I have just planted. I'm going to put the planting date and also what should be the harvest date, and I will mark the row with that labeler. I'm so glad you've joined us for this gardening series. You've seen how we developed an edible landscape. You've seen how we've built these raised beds. You've seen how we have planted in these raised beds, and do it yourself in your home, in your property, and that you might be able to enjoy the fruits, the vegetables of your labors. So long, George Malkmus saying goodbye from the villages of Halley Acres.